Welcome to Marketplace Finds, where we show off some crazy and interesting cars for sale, judge what we think of the price, then order it in our tier list. You ever wanted to be the loudest thing in a 5-mile radius without even starting the engine? Well, buckle up, because La Toxica has arrived and it's got lashes, lips, and an attitude that says, I ruined my ex's credit score and I'll do it again. It was once a 2014 VPG MV1, which is a van made to accommodate wheelchair users easily and is surprisingly made by AM General. But as you can see, this one's been dipped in radioactive Barbie pink. That's less of a paint job and more a warning sign. Let's start with the 26-inch wheels painted to match like a Hello Kitty roller derby gang. They're big enough to scrape your local zoning laws. But the worst of all has to be the giant eyelashes on the headlights that tell me the owner probably has those nails that are like 4 inches long. Under the hood is a 4.6 V8, which is about the only part of this van that didn't file a restraining order, but it does have nearly 200,000 miles, which is impressive considering how much emotional baggage it hauls daily. Onto the price, they're looking for $10,500, and honestly, it's not that bad considering most seem to sit around the $15,000 mark, but they do have less miles and won't smell of scented candles and untreated drama. I think we have found the final boss of all Lincoln Navigators. This one from 1999 seems to have crawled out of a Monster Energy sponsored swamp and decided it wanted to be a rolling nightclub with trust fund delusions. The seller calls it the cleanest first-gen Navigator you will find, and they're not wrong. This thing is ridiculously clean inside and out, just with some extremely questionable tastes. Let's get the exterior out of the way first, because let's be real, it may have been painted by Van Gogh himself, being ridiculously clean and somehow has held up over what is probably the last 20 years. There's no marks, scratches or dents on this thing, so it was probably locked up in a garage, the equivalent of Area 51. Unfortunately, you don't get the 32-inch rolling mistakes in the sale, but it's okay, you'll be getting the original wheels, which we assume are bald, bent and currently holding up the seller's couch. Quite possibly my favourite part of the car is under the hood. We have the airbrushed phrase, Gator for the haters, like it already knew I was going to talk crap to it. Stepping into the interior, it has been fully engulfed in glossy green fiberglass. It looks like the inside of a gator's esophagus, but somehow stickier. It's definitely not my taste, but man, you can tell the work that went into it is insane. It must have taken so many hours to get it this nice. Every door panel is now a full-on DB drag competition rig, complete with more tweeters than Twitter had before Elon killed it, and a set of huge speakers in the back, just in case you also want to deafen any tailgaters, pun fully intended. There are at least 10 TV screens throughout, because everyone including the driver needs 2 each, and there's a 90% chance they're playing Shrek on repeat. Now typically a car like this we get some ridiculous prices, but the seller surprised me, only asking for $8,000. I know it's probably triple what a normal one would go for, but given how clean it is, if you could convince Crocodile Dundee to sell it with the rims, I'm sure someone would buy it.
It's just one of those days.
Here we have a 1997 Nissan D21 with some wild mods that the seller says was just for laughs and attention, which is ironic because that's also what his dad said before walking out. Right off the bat, the front end looks like it lost a fight with a forklift. No bumper, no hood, no shame, and an intercooler so low it's definitely hitting speed bumps. It's got a turbo setup that looks like a Home Depot plumbing section trying to hold 4 psi of booster disappointment. It's running a K04 turbo, which is basically the hairdryer from a junkyard Audi strapped to a 4-banger that's seen more RTV than actual oil. In all honesty, it wouldn't be so bad if the damn thing wasn't sitting 2 foot out of the hood right in front of the driver's seat, blocking so much vision you probably have to lean out the window to drive this thing. Moving to the interior, we've got 2 comfortable looking bucket seats with harnesses, which let's be real, is a bit over the top for a mini truck making less boost than what I can fart out. It's got a hydro that looks to be made from the highest quality Temu parts, and the shifter knob is made from a steel pipe that may or may not be legally considered a weapon. The seller is looking for $6,800 for a truck that's got a 90% chance of burning down in the next week, so I think I'd pass. This is a 2012 Smartfoot 2, and it is absolutely not emotionally available. Covered head to toe in Hello Kitty decals, hearts, bows, and unspoken trauma. This car says, Kitty says I love you on the bumper, but screams, please don't leave me from the back seat. It's cute, but in the way that makes you nervous, she might follow you home. The hood features Hello Kitty's face at full volume, flanked by butterflies, bows, and broken boundaries. Guaranteed to be keyed by jealous exes and judged by your dad. It even has a trailer hitch to drag your dead body on show when she catches you cheating. I love the wrap though. It feels perfect for a Smartfoot 2 car, like it's innocent and can't hurt you. There's plushies in the window and just enough dashboard clutter to suggest a minor hoarding issue. Inside the theme continues with Hello Kitty seat covers as you'd expect. They want $7,600, which is definitely overpriced. However, I wouldn't be surprised if the right person sees it and decides they want to max out their credit card and buy it. What you're looking at right here is a 1999 Mazda Miata, but instead of the owner drinking their usual soy lattes, whoever made this seems to prefer Red Bull and meth. It's already lightweight chassis has gotten onto the Ozempic craze and has now been stripped of basically its whole body. Instead, it's got this Joker-esque purple tubing or roll cage all over, which to be fair is probably safer than a normal Miata. It's got a Mazda branded wing so big it casts shadows on Miatas in other zip codes. You'd think with a wing like that it would be making 500 ponies, but you'd be wrong. Underneath the skeletonized cosplay chassis lies a naturally aspirated 1.8 4-cylinder, which considering its anorexic state would be plenty enough power to have fun with as long as you don't mind hot rubber flicking up and hitting you when doing burnouts. Also considering that intake is open to the air alongside the interior, I'm going to guess driving in the rain isn't an option in this thing. On the interior, if I can call it that, it's got a Momo wheel, 2 Tanaka 5-point harnesses, and bucket seats bolted to a diamond plate floor, because this thing isn't about comfort, it's about feeling every bump, rattle, and regret of the guy who built it while trauma bonding with your passenger while the car tries to kill you. This thing is still street legal, which is guaranteed to annoy your local police station. The seller was asking for $13,000, and unsurprisingly, it is already sold to the next maniac.
Brother,
This 1998 Volvo S70 has been tastefully vandalized by someone who probably sniffed more paint than they used making this disaster. Let's break it down, starting with the masterpiece on the hood. It's what appears to be a cracked out face that looks like it's been doing whippets behind a Dollar General since 2006, mixed in with the budget horror film. On the driver's side, we've got what looks to be a radioactive rat hungrily chasing a giant flaming eyeball, which is probably the weirdest sentence I've ever uttered in my life. There's also a choices mural, which is the most honest part of the car, because every decision involving this Volvo has been a bad one. At least the passenger side isn't as bad with this demented tongue and teeth that still don't look as hungry as the guy who painted this for a 6-pack and a cigarette. If you haven't noticed yet, the word dope is spelled incorrectly over the car, and after doing some research, it turns out this masterpiece is Michelangelo's reincarnation's own vehicle they painted for advertising their car painting business. For $1,800, you can drive the weirdest car on your street, at your job, in your state, or quite possibly on this entire cursed planet. This insulin spiking paint job probably looked halfway decent when it was first slapped on, but these days it's faded and looks like Mars decided to open a dispensary. Either this was a promo car or someone was trying to get a lifetime supply of M&Ms. The Statue of Liberty represents the freedom the child workers don't have on the Cocoa Farms Mars zone. The yellow M&M looks like he's just spotted the freak show sticker on the window and is now regretting accepting that tab of LSD from the owner. The sticker honestly raises more questions than answers, but now I know this definitely wasn't a promo vehicle. The rims alone could reduce the house prices on the street it's parked on. Here's the twist. The interior is immaculate, like weirdly nice. Fully purple from the headrests to the carpets, embroidered Caprice logos on the headrests, clean stitching, no rips. It's honestly impressive. This car looks like it belonged in a rapper called Lil Chocolate's music video, but instead it's lavender luxury. It's got 170,000 miles, which means it's lived a full life. The seller says it has TVs, though we didn't see them, and they want $5,000 for Willy Wonka's daily driver. I would be looking elsewhere, unless the paint job really has caught your eye. Here we have what the seller says is a 1960s Citroen camper van. However, if you happen to have eyeballs, you can see it land somewhere between a lunar lander and a cartoon hearse, because it turns out this horrific contraption is not actually a Citroen, but apparently a heavily DIY modified Nissan van. The front end looks like it was modelled after a startled frog, and the body has the aerodynamics of a toaster oven wrapped in wet drywall. The faded silver and red paint, that's not patina. That's what happens when a vehicle sits in a field long enough to be considered part of the ecosystem. As you'd expect, the interior probably has a record level of black mold, rotting insulation, and the floor is made of warped OSB that's now roughly as strong as graham crackers. Up front, it's got seats upholstered in faded burgundy cloth, or possibly fungus, and the steering wheel's basically just a suggestion at this point. The cherry on top is that it doesn't have a motor or transmission, and with that in mind, the genius seller is wanting $1,600, and for that kind of money, I'm going to have to give it a clown sticker. Ever wanted to drive a car that looks like it just got out of a toxic relationship? Well, buckle up, emotionally and physically. Let's start with the hood painted Pepto-Bismol pink and adorned with what appears to be a demon goat skull that fell out of a Hot Topic clearance bin. It's got crescent moons, some tribal drips, and the undeniable energy of someone who has crystals on her dashboard, a tarot app on her phone, and an ex-boyfriend's name tattooed in Sanskrit. Both fenders are rimmed with pink pinstripes, like a used vape pen, and the wheels match pink, loud, and as subtle as a slap in the face. There's also a hot pink Band-Aid decal that says, "Ouch," on the dented passenger door. Inside this beast is dipped in pink seat covers, pink floor mats, enough plush accessories to fill a Build-A-Bear, and we can't forget the pink fuzzy dice. It's got a huge, almost 330,000 miles, so for an old Honda, it's barely broken in, but it does have a transmission that the seller says it'll need work in the near future, which roughly translates to, they waved some sage around it, and was surprised that didn't fix it. They are only wanting $1,000 for it, which is a tempting price, but given the mileage and transmission condition, it might just be best to junk it. Next up we have a 1996 Chevrolet Cavalere, or as I like to call it, too fast, too delirious. The paint job shifts between blue, pink, purple and shame depending on how direct the sunlight and regret are. Forget having clear coat either, as it seems like the painter sealed it with a thin layer of vape residue. Also, who doesn't love flames on a car? We can't forget the body kit it's been sprayed onto with its fake side vents that do absolutely nothing. Under the hood, we've got a standard issue, crusty 2.2 4-cylinder that seems to have bathed in salt water given how much rust and corrosion is there, and like all modified vehicle, comes with an epic DIY intake. With questionable mods like this, you already know the price is going to be awful, and surprise surprise, they're after $5,000, which is basically double if not triple how much they're worth. This isn't your average bread box on wheels for dropping mail off or selling iced diabetes to children. This one's had some custom bodywork you'll either love or hate. It's a 1974 General step van, but as you can see, someone didn't want to be a double amputee in a crash, so they swapped out the front end of a 1967 Oldsmobile Cutlass. Not only that, but they also swapped in a freshly built 455 Rocket V8, so this isn't your usual Mailman special 6-cylinder slug, and it even has an upgraded trans and a 10-bolt rear end if you want to burn some rubber into some kids' ice creams as you peel off. This was supposedly built by a NASCAR fabricator, which, given that it's on Facebook, has about the same odds of being true as Obama being my dad. But hey, they do have some receipts for the work, so maybe there's a shred of truth in there after all. The seller is looking for $9,500, and considering some of that running gear is worth a pretty penny and is inside an odd but cool car, I wouldn't be surprised if someone goes for it. Right off the bat, this Camaro isn't just a car, it's a Pixar side hustle. It's been wrapped up as Lightning McQueen, and honestly, they did a solid job. It's not completely accurate to the movie, but it doesn't look like that's what they were going for, and everyone can tell who it is. And the number 95 looks factory fresh. You pull up in this thing and you're legally obligated to say, "Speed, I am speed." The seller states it was used in their entertainment business, but I'd still run the plates on this thing in every state and double check it's not wanted by the police. The child predator vans are getting a lot more creative. Joking aside, we get no interior photos, but the seller states it has a manual transmission, which is a bonus. Inside it probably smells like birthday candles and Capri Suns. This car is basically a rolling serotonin dispenser for kids. Drive past any elementary school and you'll hear screams of joy. They want $26,500 for this Camaro, which is a bit on the high end. Also, the wrap is niche, but if you're trying to enter your kid's life again, then this would be the way to do it. If you've ever looked at a boat and thought, yeah, but what if it was round, slow, and had the turning radius of a baked ham? Well, congratulations, it just washed ashore. This right here is a Circraft, a floating saucer, a real nautical novelty made purely to make old people think they forgot to take their meds that day. You might be wondering, do these things handle as good as a jet ski? Obviously no. Well, how about as comfortable as a boat? Not even close. The only thing really going for these hilarious boats is the UFO styling, and that's what makes them great. This one unfortunately doesn't have a motor, but that can be sorted out easily. What matters is the body seems to be in great shape, minus some algae, and it even comes with the world's tiniest trailer it's sitting on. The seller was after $2,000, and unfortunately for us, it's already sold, and is probably on its way back to Area 51 as we speak. Here's how the final tier list ended up. Let us know what we got right, what we got wrong, and if there's anything you'll change around. Otherwise, thanks for watching. If you find a crazy or interesting car, you can send it to us on Instagram. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.